I came up with 4 different contexts in which there is a potential for a man and a woman to cultivate a genuine friendship.
All right. I'm so curious.
The first one was the first one I said was one of the people is way out of the other's league. So there is a quote unquote.
I can't believe you said that.
Hello, audience. Can we be honest with one another? May we be truthful?
You're talking about keeping it real.
May we?
Woo.
All right, I will continue.
Wait.
Jem's over there having a heart attack.
That's the first contact.
That's the first one.
Jesus Christ. Oh, please, Lord.
I'm not done with it either.
That's insane. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Intellectual Podcast, where we're just putting a little dash of nuance to the polarizing conversations of the internet.
Yeah.
I'm Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we're your hosts for today, where we're tackling the age-old question, the intellectual deliberation,
yes.
the stimulating conversation, the most polarizing thing you could possibly talk about.
1000%.
Can men and women be friends? Should men and women be friends?
Oh my gosh.
You know, you would think that our answer is very obvious after 7 years of friendship.
What's the Spider-Man meme?
That one, yeah, fuck this bitch over here.
Yeah.
You would think the answer is obvious.
Think this would be a very short episode.
Right. Yes. The end. Right.
And goodbye.
You know, you would think that'd be so easy.
Oh my gosh.
It's not.
No, it's never that easy. Not with us.
Not with us. If you've honestly 40 episodes in,
right?
It's
don't
never
realize,
that easy, bro. It's never that. You know, there's a twist. And honestly, I'm just gonna come out and straight up say it. No.
Wow.
Yeah. No. Men and women cannot be friends, but I think they should be.
I am going to go with a less polarizing statement and say that for me, context matters.
Context matters.
Yes.
Context matters. Context is very important.
Context is super important, in my opinion, into whether or not people of the opposite sex can be friends. Whether it's like a valid friendship. We know you guys have those friends. Anyways.
Why are you doing that to people? Oh my goodness. I do have a section in my notes that talks about why friendships fall apart. Is because you guys all right, we're just gonna we're saying it now. We're saying it now because you brought it up.
Yes.
Y'all have done friendships so dirty.
Yes.
And y'all know you have. And I know y'all have those friends right now currently listening. It's you. You're the problem. You're the reason why people can't trust friends when people say you have friends, because friends, that's a placeholder when you don't want to actually tell your person what that person is. Like, oh, that's just a friend.
Nope.
You're ruining it for everybody, because that was
around
never
you,
a friend,
including yourself.
Or also, it might not be nefarious. Maybe this is an ex that you don't want to let go of, and don't want to move on from. So you're like, well, we can just be friends.
Oh no.
He has seen your butthole. You can't be friends.
You're not allowed.
You can't be friends.
You're not allowed.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. It's
I have never seen. Actually, that's not true. But the context of that is very different.
It's. I think in most of those situations, I actually did write down in my kind of thought process, the different contexts in which a man and a woman who are heterosexual, who are attracted to the opposite sex, can form an actual genuine friendship. Because like I said, a lot of y'all got a lot of little friends, as we just stated, and y'all are not actually friends, and you're being delusional, and you're lying to everyone around you and yourself about that.
Mostly yourself.
Mostly yourself, because usually people can see it.
Yeah, we know. We know what that is. And then, to that point, it's very obvious. And I don't think this conversation, it's going to be contextualized by our friendship because I think it's
Totally.
very useful to talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily going to talk about our friendship directly. I have taken the time over the process when we decided to have this conversation, and I filtered the things that make our friendship work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about those things. I'm going to generalize it for all of you that are listening. But this is a byproduct of our friendship, to which I will say, I interact with many women under the pretense of friendship. And to all these girls that are listening, I only have one female friend. Let the record show. Let the record show.
Damn, you're saying it.
I have many women that are my friends, and I only have one female friend.
I'm actually so shook that you're saying that.
Why? I mean, honesty is key.
No, honesty is totally key. And one thing Jem will be is honest.
I'm gonna be straight up. I've told all of them this too.
Yes.
So whatever. I don't freaking care. I only have one female friend, and this friendship is the model that I think all of my female friends should emulate.
Yeah.
If you are figuring out where to place me in this whole idea, and you're confused, this is the template. This is the template. But that's neither here nor there. Before we get into all that, I need to talk about the most viral story, the longest story.
Oh my gosh,
the most viral long story that's ever graced TikTok. 52 parts. Yep. That's kind of insane.
A whole audio
I really watched most of that. Once I got the gist of what was going on, I stopped.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot. 52 was a lot. They're all 10 minutes long. It's like 500 minutes.
Did you watch it in 2 times speed though?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
It's still 5 minutes of my time. 30 episodes. I did that all in one sitting. I was like, let me just watch this shit. Because I gotta watch this shit. Shit's kind of crazy.
And if you don't know already, we are talking about the Who the Fuck Did I Marry series that Risa Tisa has posted on her TikTok page. And I think a lot of people are fascinated for it for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the content of the series is what's really has people intrigued at the end of the day. I think what people are also talking about it from a content creation standpoint, about how she's broken all the rules of content creation and has gone absolutely viral. Every single, and then tell me if I'm wrong, every single part has at least 1 million views. 52 parts. Every one of those videos has 1 million views.
She gained
that
like
is insane.
maybe like 1.8 million subscribers from this shit.
And she did that whole story in a week. She was posting several times a day, keeping people updated, like continued the story. And by the end of the week, she had released everything. It was, that's an incredible feat, in my opinion.
Incredible. And it just goes to show that like social media management as an idea, it's like, sure.
Totally.
Virality has a template, sure. But also the internet likes what it likes.
Right.
At the end of the day, the internet just will always like what it likes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing sensationalized by that. There's nothing like particularly like engaging about the way she was telling the story.
Yeah.
The content of the story is it's relatable, it's interesting, it's captivating, but it's not like obsessively absorbent. For it to be that long and that many parts, like you would think that people would get over it very quickly, but
I don't know.
I
was intrigued the entire time. I think for me, a lot of it was like, I guess it was 2 things. I stayed because I was like, what is he lying to her about? I wanted to figure out the full truth of what he was lying about. And 2, like, how was he going to lie? Like, how was he going to cover his tracks? Then also 3, I guess, from her perspective, there was such a like, my heart goes out to her. And like the way that she talked about her mindset and the why she engaged in it, it felt very self-aware to me. She was very willing to own up to her mistakes and how her perspective on her life and the things that she desired so much that she was willing to just snatch that shit, even though she wasn't maybe ready for that shit per se. And to her, like, you know, she's very religious, so she was saying, God, I'm ready for this. And God was like, no, you're not. Type thing.
She ignored all the signs that God was trying to tell her.
No, for real. Like the flat tire girl. I'm going home.
Right.
No, but
actually, no, that was that's
Yeah.
I think that's a crazy thing. That's a crazy thing.
No, in that moment, like as a woman, I'm like, everyone in the comments too was like, girl, I understand why like him changing your flat tire and getting you like why that's so like
a thing.
chivalrous.
That's so romantic.
Yeah.
My tire's flat. I think I'm gonna call it. Nah, tell me where you are. I'm changing your tire.
Yeah.
Fam. I don't know how to change tires like that. I could
Nope.
do it if I had to do it. Like I
Totally.
know how, but like that wouldn't be my first inclination. I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Right.
Good luck with that.
Right. First
For
day,
a
I don't know
stranger,
you.
like, who
Yeah.
are you, ma'am?
But, you know, it's like one of those things like hindsight. Like
Right.
maybe the universe was telling me something.
Yeah, look at the people that change your tires.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Think about that.
Normal, well-adjusted people don't go out of their way to change people's tires.
Yeah. Maybe.
Not strangers.
Right. Not a stranger's tire.
And clearly,
Yeah.
he saw it as an opportunity, as an in, and it worked.
And it worked. Oh.
It worked.
It was a wrap. It was
how
a
are you
wrap
gonna
after
be
that.
mad at a person that changes your tires? It's
Right.
kind of impossible.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
I don't know, man.
wild.
That empathy, I get why people feel for her.
I think I'm allowed, like, I think it's easy to have empathy for her because she was able to like articulate like her
Her stuff.
Yeah. And just like where she went wrong, like the places in which like she was like, yeah, I was a fool. Like I was, this was my.
So there's like a
mis-
self-awareness.
There's
to
a
it.
self-awareness that's refreshing in that story, you know?
Yeah, I'll give her that.
Yeah.
Fine. I won't say what I was gonna say because that's very true.
Yeah.
You can't really fault her as much because like she's telling you that she was the problem in it. So
She was able to identify her faults in that
exactly.
for sure.
But I'm just like, that's kind of an insane situation to find yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where every possible sign
She
that
was
something is
ignoring.
wrong
Yeah.
is wrong.
Yeah.
And I was so amused when I found out that this situation was during the pandemic.
Oh, and honestly, that confirmed it even more for me. These pandemic
Like,
relationships,
only during the pandemic.
there was no other, the only way he got away with what he got away with was because it was during COVID.
Because she said, like, I didn't want to be locked down by myself. And I was
And I was like, that's real. That is so
damn,
real.
That's crazy.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
imagine if I was living here during the pandemic. I think I would have gone insane.
You think you would have?
I think I would have.
Yeah.
Because being around the people that I was around, sure,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it was what it was. But I was around people.
Yeah. At least you're around
That
people.
was a thing.
Yeah. I definitely kind of went insane.
A little bit.
A little bit, because I wasn't living by myself, but I was living in a college apartment.
Mm-hmm.
All my roommates went home, and I stayed. So I was essentially living by myself.
Fun.
Actually, felt pretty fine, but there were things that my body would do that my body was like, maybe you're not okay.
You're not okay. We have a lot of internalized trauma from the pandemic.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I said, like I keep saying, I've been saying this for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'll unpack that shit later. Later.
During another
later,
time.
bro. You're good. Later.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're fine. Later.
I
I don't
feel
want to
that.
think about that right
I
now.
feel that.
I really do not.
Oh
At
my
all.
gosh.
Because that trauma isn't debilitating.
Yeah.
You know, that's not something I need to like heal from to
No.
be in a relationship with a person. Like that's nothing. Like nah, but we will unpack that
Oh,
later.
at some point, yes.
You're
we as
good,
a-
bro. You're good.
I think all of us, society, we're choosing to
You
kind
just
of.
need to have like a sit down
Yeah.
as a culture and really decide.
I mean,
what that was.
whether we're addressing it or not, we are kind of seeing the effects of it in our world, you know.
like that resonates with me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so curious as to, like what you're referring to specifically.
Oh, I think like, well, at least some of this, like the statistics I've seen or heard, like depression rates are like at an all-time high. Loneliness is at an all-time high.
I did hear about
The
that.
overall like feeling about like our government, etc. People's kind of seems like we had like a shift, like a collective shift of like perspective about the way the world should work and all these kinds of things. And granted, Gen Z has kind of always been kind of on that track, but it seems after the pandemic, really our eyes were open, so to speak. Granted, we're not really changing anything, but there's a general like unrest and dissatisfaction with the way, like that, it really amplified that feeling. Hence, I think the depression, heightened depression and loneliness, etc.
We're more aware of things now.
Yeah.
In
I
a
think
way
the collective
that maybe,
mental health is at an all-time low.
That's so sad to think about.
I know. I agree. It is very sad. That is why I'll become a therapist and I will change the world.
I love that you have that inclination.
Yes.
Honestly, I have given up. I used to be such an activist in my youth. I was like,
wow, you really became what you hated. If you were really an activist.
huh?
You know how like as a young person you look at these older people and like, oh, you should still care about this stuff, like you exist, and then they're like, well, when you're older you'll see. When you start paying taxes you'll see.
No, I was never a person that demonized old people.
Oh.
Because I just thought I was better than them.
See, that's what I'm
So
saying.
I wasn't mad at them. I was just like, me and my youth and my knowledge, I'm so capable.
Yeah.
So who better than to change the narrative than I? Yep.
And now as an old fart, you
old fart.
you're like, oh, you
That's
Gen
what we're
Zs,
doing now?
you got this. You Gen Alphas, actually,
I'm
maybe.
not passing the torch. I'm killing the idea.
Oh, for sure.
I'm bearing the idea. I love an activist. I love a person that thinks they can change shit. But I have internalized the idea that shit's not going to change.
Wow. I understand that. I do.
The system exists beyond an individual's ability to change it. And the 4 people that got the closest in American history, they murdered.
Oh.
That's the thing that really like put the nail in the coffin, because like individuals can make a difference, but they won't let you.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the point then? What's like literally the point? And once you start asking what the point is, you start not finding one.
Yeah. I think that's also like the interesting part is that like we've gotten to a point where it's like there's like this ethereal they that we can't ever fight. But like, I don't know. Like after watching that Netflix movie, what was it called? The one that the Obamas helped produce. Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's so many Netflix movies.
No, it just recently came out, and it was about like essentially like it was like the internet went down in the whole like United States, and it was like a cyber.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
I forget the name.
That one. It makes me wonder, like, okay, like where that famous line in the movie where it's like the scariest part is that no one's actually in control. The best, like, I forget how he worded it, but it's like, you know, the best thing you could ask for is a heads up. Like even like the richest, most powerful people, the best thing that they could ask for is a heads up. No one's actually in control. But we believe in this ethereal they that is not letting the things change. And I'm sure there definitely is these systems and things in place, but we've placed so much power into these things that it's like controlling us. It's so interesting.
By design. But in that too, it's like the only way that those people will not be in power is if you break the system, which is what that movie is about. Like the system broke, so no one was in control.
Yeah.
But as long as the system is intact, they are in control. And as a person who's in the system, like breaking the system is like the most impractical way to try to regain some of that.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's not useful. That's not the life I want.
Yeah.
It's not hard to break the system, theoretically, but I don't want the system to break. I just want the system to change.
To shift. Yeah. I hear you.
But that's not what we're talking about at all.
No, I know.
That was a really depressing tangent.
Oh gosh,
for
right.
no reason.
Oh gosh, what's happening?
Am I existential? A little bit. A little nihilistic, but you know, it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. I have the ability and the fluidity to exist with these ideas and not stress myself out. I can continue existing, motivated to exist every single day. So
that is a good quality to have.
It's a necessary quality to have if you think about these things, because Jesus Christ. Ooh, wait.
Oh my God.
I should have asked this in the last episode, but honestly, we need things to talk about. So I'm going to talk about it now. Just a quick little conversation. I don't even really know where I want to go with it. But I'm so curious as to the apprehension people have with crushes these days, or just maybe in general.
Are people have
People
apprehensions
hate
to
having
crush?
crushes. Like they like the idea of having crushes, but like
Okay.
practically they don't like crushes. They don't like being crushed on, and they don't like having crushes. It's a very anxiety inducing thing for them.
Where are you seeing this?
The internet.
Oh. I feel like I loved having crushes, especially, oh my gosh, just like thinking about like when you're a kid. I know like that's not necessarily what you're thinking about maybe, but like when you're a kid and like you have a crush on like, you know, the boy in the classroom, and like Valentine's Day comes around, you're like, is he going to give me one of like,
Yes, he will, because they give them to everybody in the
I
class.
know, but then you were like, but he put a heart in mine.
That one was for me.
But it was my favorite color, so he was thinking of me.
Right.
Or like
he didn't have to give me the white one.
Right.
Right. You make the whole narrative in your brain and shit.
It's to my knowledge that especially girls love to have a cute little crush. I've never really come across someone who's like, I hate that I have this crush on someone. I guess if you're like really taking it there to that level where you're like the idea of them has become so like appealing, like this fantasy of a person you've created has become like so like all consuming that it gives you anxiety. But like even like the idea of like a work crush, like that's like
what I'm saying.
Like that's such like like it's fun.
But now it's not so fun.
Is it though?
They
I
made
feel
it
like,
not fun.
I don't know who you're talking to because I have not gotten this.
That's so crazy. Work wife, work husband. It's problematic now.
No. Well, look, I know I don't have like a work crush now that I'm in a relationship, but when I was single and I was like, I had like my work crushes. I had like the people in these spaces where I was like, oh my God, I'm like you create this thing to like, entertain yourself. It was entertainment for me.
I think it should remain entertainment regardless, but I don't know if I want to bring it to the context of the relationship. But in my brain, crushes are kind of harmless by nature of them being crushes. So relationship, not relationship. I think just in general, people take the idea of having a crush too seriously. When in really like at its most foundational form, it's I am fantasizing about this person that I might find attractive.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's very non-serious. I think that idea while you're in a relationship can be a scary, slippery slope. Fantasizing.
How does it slide?
I don't know. I think that like it can. I just don't know that I personally like the idea of like my partner fantasizing about the idea of being with someone else. It makes me feel as if there is some dissatisfaction in the relationship that you are like, why can't you fantasize about me? Going to our flirting episode, like why can't we have that in our relationship? I'm very pro monogamy for myself personally. So I find that sort of thing to be sort of sacred that should be kept within the relationship. I agree it's harmless, but what it can imply when you're like supposed to be in like a solid monogamous healthy relationship, I don't necessarily like.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It also seems like monogamy is very fragile. I'm going to address this in this conversation. So I don't really want to get into it right now, but I do think that there's a through line between.
Lots of through lines.
Oh, of course. With me, always with me, you already know. But there's definitely a through line between the fear that people have, the threat of friends people have, the fear of the threat of friendship that people in relationships have, and this idea of, or I guess I'll say the ideal of monogamy, like the most aggressively wishful thinking of monogamy. There's a connection there that I want to address. I think it's useful
In this conversation about sex of the opposite friends. Friends of the opposite.
Sex of the opposite friend. What does that even mean? I don't even like. That's just hurting my brain. Oh my god.
Oh my. That was not what I meant to say.
It's been a month, guys. It's
Friends
been a
of
month.
the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Did I say that
Opposite
correctly?
sex friend.
The opposite sex friend.
I love it. Indeed.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But yeah,
That's hilarious.
there's definitely a through line there. I don't know if I should start with it. I want to give a little bit of context and culture.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you said it's contextual.
Yes. Should I give my context examples or no?
I'll go macro first, and then we can filter it down. My first conclusion is that I don't think men and women should be friends.
Uh-huh.
But I do not think that is because of innate or an inherent lack of ability to cultivate a platonic interaction between the opposite genders. My thing is that our society and our culture does not really cultivate an environment in which that is, for lack of a better phrase, possible. In most cases, most contexts, as you will. Because there's a relationship between the commodification of the female body and the lack of accountability and the over-sexualization that men have for women.
Right.
Underneath this idea of a patriarchy, I know, I hate the phrase, I hate the word, I use it with,
a grain of salt.
But for lack of a better phrase, like
Sure.
underneath a patriarchal structure, when you have the commodification of the female body, an environment in where men view women as objects and women view men as oppressors,
Right.
it's really hard to find common ground there. That, to me, is where that starts. And with the conversations of the internet and the climate and the over-idealization and significance that we place on romantic situations and iterations and relationships, anything that you can cultivate in a friendship, platonic, is overshadowed and kind of invalidated by the fact that you are eventually going to have a boyfriend and the things that you have in those friendships you can't have, or you should be having with said boyfriend.
Sure.
One of the most interesting things that a girl has ever told me,
Oh.
she was so hell-bent about being in a relationship, obsessed with it.
Totally.
And this was in my youth, so I was so curious. Hey, like, what motivates you to pursue relationships like this? She was going back and forth with this dude that was so problematic, couldn't break up with him because she didn't want to be single. And I was like, why are you pursuing this so aggressively?
Right.
She said, I want to be in a relationship. I'm trying to get married because I know that all my friends are going to get married and I don't want to be alone. And I was like, that's probably worst take.
Right.
Worst take I've ever heard in my life about why a person should be in a relationship.
Totally.
But she said that with her chest and she said that unironically.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
You were surprised by, maybe not surprised by how many women feel that way.
That's what I'm saying.
Also, Risa Tisa, reason why she found herself in that situation with a wild ass man was because she wanted a relationship. She didn't want to be alone.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
A crazy situation.
Yeah.
That's the environment that these interactions are cultivated in. It doesn't, it's not conducive to a positive platonic interaction between two people who have the potential to be attracted to each other.
Yeah.
Right. There is an inherent power dynamic. I don't know if I can really articulate that in an effective way, but
we're calling attention to it here.
yeah, calling attention to this power dynamic, not necessarily of one, but on a micro level between like individuals. There's not an inherent like distribution of power, but there is a thing that you can't do with a friend that's a girl, or as you like to say, a girl space friend.
Yeah.
That you can do with men. Like it's hard to cultivate mutuality with women as a man and man as a woman, because where humans are inherently similar as a species, but the things that make women different are so different. Like the things that make us different are so different.
Yeah.
Like those things are so different to the point where it almost seems opposite. The things that women, or the way that women think and the way that women go through life, you guys are socialized to be in direct opposition with what men are socialized and how men are socialized to operate in life. And it's like, how do you find common ground in that when you have an environment that is producing that type of interaction?
Right.
Now, all that being said, my caveat is that men and women should be friends. Why? Because how do you change that inherent bias, that inherent indoctrination that men and women have? How do you change that if you conform to this narrative that men and women can't be friends?
Right.
There's no conversation happening. Everything that you think and you're taught about what these things are and how to view these people in relation to yourself will never be challenged if you're only friends with the same sex.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to start.
Yeah.
Give us some context, Renee.
I agree with that. Let's look into this context.
Let's look into this context right quick. One time for the one time.
I came up with 4 different contexts in which there is a potential for a man and a woman to cultivate a genuine friendship.
All right. I'm so curious.
The first one, I actually did have to cough and then I made it funny.
Oh my God.
You know.
Jesus Christ. That was crazy.
The first one was the first one I said was one of the people is way out of the other's league. So there is a quote unquote.
I can't believe you said that.
Hello audience, can we be honest with one another? May we be truthful?
You're talking about keeping it real.
May we?
Woo.
All right, I will continue.
Wait.
Jem's over there having a heart attack.
That's the first context.
That's the first one.
Jesus Christ. Oh, please, Lord.
I'm not done with it either.
That's insane.
So yeah, one of the parties is out of the other's league. So there's quote unquote they never have a chance. So the default is friendship. The downside of this one is that there's a potential pining situation that could happen
100%.
that then invalidates the friendship, right? So even though there could be a friendship, quote unquote, created, it could be invalidated by the fact that that person who's not in the league is pining after the other.
Right. You're obsessed with me.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get you, so I guess you can be my friend.
I guess I'll just be your friend. Right. But there can be a special scenario in which those people can just develop an honest, good friendship. Second context is they met through the dating of a friend. I say this one because I've seen it happen quite often. So the barrier of the person, so to man and woman, either the man is dating that woman's friend, and more times I see it with the woman dating that man's friend. And so the barrier of the person.
Oh, like your roommate.
Yeah, exactly. The barrier of the person having pursued or dated a friend allows for a friendship to be more authentic, because by laws of girl and boy code, typically that person becomes ineligible, potentially.
But, all right, caveat to that.
Yeah.
Why would I want my ex to be friends with my friend?
No, I'm right there with you. I'm totally there with you. I'm the type of person that could never happen. But I have seen it probably like 2 or 3 times in my just meeting people. I've seen that happen.
You like that context is a little agreeable for you, is what you're saying.
A little agreeable?
Like you're okay with that. Like you would validate that friendship.
No, yeah, exactly. And I have one scenario of someone that I guess I'll just say my roommate, where that's happened. Right. I validate that shit. Gotcha. I see it. It can't, but the thing is, it still takes a special sort of people and energy in the context of that for that to actually work.
Got it.
Right. In all of these scenarios, that's the case. Third context is there is an age/life disparity in which the friendship blossoms through a mentorship or big brother-sister dynamic. Disparity can include literal age or small age gap, but big maturity gap. And I put Gemini's friendship.
That's cool, baby. I was like, oh my God, it's me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the last one, which I put in all caps, rare occurrence. And when I say so rare, it's not even like the meat is like bloodied and not cooked.
Damn.
It's that
the
it's
cow is still mooing, bro. The cow is still mooing. Honestly, she shouldn't even really be saying this one because it's so non-existent. But because it can't exist, she's decided to say it. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I can see a world where this can exist. Okay, 2 people do date and are so wildly incompatible as partners, but operate far better as friends and are able to seamlessly transition that dynamic. My thoughts, this works only if the people went on a couple or a handful of dates, then realize this rather than having had a whole ass relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
And then deciding to become friends. And I put this, I said, rather than have a whole ass serious relationship that lasts several months, years, and then quote unquote realizes, in parentheses, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that you guys can actually be friends.
You can't. You saw her butthole. It's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too late.
Exactly.
That is my freaking qualifier, bro.
Oh my
if I see your butthole, you're not my friend.
Right.
Like, I don't care. I don't care, bro.
That is honestly a great qualifier. I would have to agree with that one.
Dude, that I don't know what the fuck I was expecting. I was not expecting that.
My context?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so crazy.
I think I got a
moment.
Right.
Because goodness.
I think I got a good variety there.
Yeah, man.
Of those.
That's very, very, very,
those
very
contexts.
So we have, if you're too ugly to date her, or vice versa,
or him, yeah.
What was the second one?
The second one was meeting through friends.
Meeting through friends, which is shaky at best. The other one is us, which obviously works.
Yes.
And then
the rare occurrence.
Yeah. Incompatibility, but better as friends.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, if you're better as friends, why can't you function in relate? What are the things that make people not able to function in relationship?
I think, I don't know.
To the point where you can be friends.
Yeah. Like I said, with all these, I do question still kind of the validity of it at the end of the day. But I think in that scenario, I could see a world where it's you don't have much physical chemistry. Maybe you also want different things from life. And so you're maybe compatible in these in those certain ways, because that's the cool, maybe the cool things about friends. You don't have to want the same things in life, right, to be great friends, right? But in a relationship, there has to be a lot of synergy when it comes to you have to be aligned in vision and motivation and values, and there's all these other things where you could be super cool, whatever, get along, but maybe don't have that chemistry in the way of building a life together, right? It's I think you're a cool dude, but also maybe too you realize I don't really want to fuck you, and we don't really align in terms of where we want to go with our lives, but you're a really cool person. I enjoy talking to you. I think we'd probably be better as friends. We have And
then what that friendship looks like, I think, is very interesting as well.
Well, I think in all these situations too, it takes a special person to two people to be able to seamlessly transition out of or into or cultivate, right? Those sorts of scenarios. Because even in something like a mentor, like our dynamic, that could have easily, as we got older, allowed lines to blur if you allowed it, right? But because I think people are stupid too. Because I was thinking about it.
Girl, what is happening in your brain?
I don't know.
I'm having a great time.
Because this is the thing is that a dude a dude like I feel like dudes can do this often, where it's like you will just try and fuck something because you want to see if you can, right? It's like you have a good friendship. It's like there's no compatibility on like that. There's no like you're ruining a good thing. You know what I mean? You take it there, but it never need to be taken there, and you don't actually want what you're trying to take it to.
You just want to prove to yourself that it's something that you can take it, which is interesting to me for two reasons, because I can see why men might be motivated to do such a thing.
Yeah.
Also, I want to be very careful about co-signing to the narrative that men can't control themselves.
Oh, 100%.
And I think women, I don't know where this narrative started. Maybe it's from the female side, maybe it's from the male side. I honestly do not know. But I do know that there's this narrative going around that implies that men are just sex-crazed animals.
Right.
That they have no agency in whether or not they want to do something. So if a person is attractive, then they're going to try to fuck it. Yeah, and that there's no way to do that. So in order to protect yourself, you just can't interact in that space. Sure. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Yeah. And that will eventually happen. Yeah. Right. I don't believe that.
No,
at all.
I totally agree.
I don't believe that at all. And I don't necessarily think that it's a temperament thing either. I think it's just the excuse that people have made when these situations happen to them, which is why I said like men and women should be friends, because most men, and I don't know, maybe I'm reaching, maybe this is a reach for real. Yeah, most men don't want to fuck most women. Yeah, like that's not. If you look at the statistics, if you look at the data, that's just not the case. Yeah, but then again, I really have to be careful there because. When I talk about most men, who am I talking about? Right. And I know. Man, is this just idealism? Hold on, let me think.
Potentially.
Damn, now I don't even know anymore. I psyched myself out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like be wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say something like just completely incorrect. Yeah. But I will say. Carefully.
I think.
Carefully. That I want to believe that's true. That you're not, you can find multiple people attractive, but you don't want to fuck multiple people at the same time all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
I like to think so.
It's funny, the conversation I was having in the barbershop yesterday. Actually, no. It confirms what I'm saying. Okay. And this is why. Because, men talk about men things. And men have a way of talking about women in relation to other men. Or men have a way of talking about women to other men that seems to imply and feed into this narrative. Yeah. Right? But then, me being me, in the midst of this conversation, they're like, so, I'm just going to tell you the conversation. Yeah. They were talking about how... what's his name? Rick Ross has a house that has 109 rooms. And I'm just like, what the hell are you even doing with all this space? Right? That's a lot of crazy space. Like, oh my God, think about the freaking maid bill for that house cleaning would be insane. I'm like, would it be? Because like you're not in all those rooms. I think it would be a normal mansion maid bill. He's like, nah, see, because my rooms will be filled up. Mad bitches.
Oh my God, of course.
And I'm just like... So like I let him go into like, oh yeah, that'd be crazy. Like, well, me and my hands will be over there, and just like girls in their room, and they'll be making their little OnlyFans, making their money, blah 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 blah. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like hold on. Like man, I'm just getting my haircut, listening to these things. People go off. Like whatever, bro. Yeah. It's like and like they have me pay the rent. Like they're making their little money, and they have a little business, and it's a whole thing. And I'm like. We gotta be real, bro. Right. We gotta be real. And honestly, this is me taking luxury ideas and making it apply to peasants, right? Because obviously this man does not have a 109 room house.
Right.
And a man that does will probably have a whole bunch of girls there because he has the ability to have a 109 bedroom house.
Right.
The game is different for those type of people, right? That's not what we're talking about. That's not who we're talking to.
Right.
To them, I was like, you think you like the idea of having that many, like 80 girls around you at a given time sounds cool until you are around 80 girls. Like, if you're living with 80 women, that shit gets really old really quickly, bro. And the moment I said that, it's like the whole bravado and proving yourself, masculine urge to like one up your fellow man,
right?
And think that you're like this machismo thing, blah blah blah. It just went out the window, and they all agree with me. Like they're like relieved that I said it, almost. You know,
right?
It's like,
relieved that you said it.
They're like, no, yeah, that's so true. Like I could never. I'm just like, then why did you say that to begin with? Why was that even a conversation we were having? Like you go into
autopilot of like what you should say.
Let's be real about this because I think about it. I was just like,
I
was over here chilling with one girl and it was stressing me out. Imagine two girls. I'm trying to, like, how you have time to breathe?
Right.
Nah, y'all gonna have to go maybe 5, 10 on that side of the house.
Right. 5, 10.
On that side of the house.
Over there where I hear you.
Right. But 80?
No, thank you.
And like, these are 80 OnlyFans bitches.
Right. Which, can I just say that he is literally talking about kind of like a prostitution ring.
This is like an escort house,
what he was describing was... Can I just call attention to that really
conversation
quick?
Was crazy.
He really had no idea what he was saying on so many levels.
Just talking.
Just talking.
Trying to be a thing. But it's so, like, just see how he's just normal. This was 2 sentences in.
Yeah.
And you're already, like, conforming to this ideation that society is giving you. Like, you don't believe this stuff. If you went out into the world and we had to qualify how you approach women, this dude's married, first of all. This was a married man with a kid.
What?
Talking like this. Right. So when you take a step back and you see how people are operating, like, that's not how you operate, bro, but you're talking crazy.
Talking mad
You're talking crazy. So that's why I want to say the narrative.
Yeah.
Most men, contrary to popular belief, if you're not chronically online, they're going to want the same monogamous situation that most women want.
Right.
And herein lies the error. And herein lies the thing that I was kind of telling you this entire day because I was so excited to say this.
Right. Yeah, you were so very excited about doing this episode.
Monogamy is cool. Monogamy is chilling. Love that shit.
Yeah.
Low key. I love the idea of it. I love the ambitiousness of said idea, right? It's a very lofty goal, as we've said many times on this podcast. But here's the reversal of that. Here's the crazy part.
Yeah.
I think it's very limiting. I think it's unrealistic. Going back to the whole flirting situation.
Yeah.
That you are a human being with the ability to be attracted to people. Well, it's nice to think that your partner will never be attracted to anybody else. It's unrealistic.
Totally, yeah.
To try and, 1, care about that, and 2, try to control that in any way, shape, or form. Inversely, I think it's better and more productive and even healthier, within reason. There are limits to this. That I would encourage people to enjoy the fact that your partner is attracted to other people and choosing you. That is really the crux of the ideal.
Totally.
It's not that he only can choose you, is that in spite of everything, you're chosen.
Right.
But so often it's so easy to be like, oh, all of a sudden, all the chemical synapses that are firing my brain when I was attracted to you, a super hot girl, all of a sudden turn off, and I'm the only person that you should be attracted to. Otherwise, I don't know, it's kind of questionable. It's kind of problematic. That's kind of, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. It's unreasonable.
Yeah.
So all the fear that people have surrounding these friendships and relationships and this threat. Again, if you're not chronically online, how many, I wish I checked these statistics. I don't even know what they are. But most relationships don't start from friendships. Most people don't leave friendships, or most people don't leave relationships to go with their friend of however many, whatever. Like that's not a thing that usually happens,
right?
Unless you're chronically online, because that happens a lot online for whatever reason. Why does that happen so much online? It's kind of crazy.
It's just the stories become louder,
right? They become louder, and then the fear is expanded, right?
Totally.
Because people are so scared of the potential of that happening when they see, like, again, you conform to the narrative,
right?
The guys are only here interacting with you because they want to fuck you, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if there's a dude in your vicinity, he's just waiting for the opportunity that you haven't given him yet to fuck you. And so if you're co-signed to that narrative as a man, you get in a relationship with a girl that has a bunch of freaking guys, I mean, not a bunch, but maybe like a couple of really guy friends in the right context, you're like, so, like, when's the thing?
Right.
When's gonna happen? Because me as her boyfriend, definitely want to fuck her.
Right.
So why wouldn't they?
Right.
Why y'all so close? Blah, 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 blah. This, that, and the other. But like that shit doesn't happen. There's a variety of reasons why people connect.
Yeah.
And why people get together.
Yeah.
Talking about context, it's like time and context are super important. You guys get into a relationship. Is she forming new friendships with people after the fact? People where she met like at the bar, on the street, online, someone in her DMs like, oh, we can be friends. Like that's very different than a 4 or 5 year friendship that she had when you all met. You know, like those contexts are very different.
Right.
And I think that it's really interesting because the reason why I believe that most people are so stressed out about these things is the way that people and the way that men and women individually maybe interpret like this emotional intimacy idea. And like I was saying before, really good at cultivating that emotional intimacy and really good at keeping that emotional intimacy very platonic at the same damn time.
Yes.
At the same damn time. I think maybe this is a cheat code because maybe I'm only good at cultivating the emotional intimacy I'm good at cultivating is because it's mostly platonic. Because it's really hard to cultivate emotional intimacy in a romantic space where you're trying to protect yourself at all times from being hurt when the emotions are higher.
Right.
So like the emotional intimacy is not as aggressive because like that's a more painful place to go. That's a more painful place to be. So like let's keep it physical until I can trust you enough to really be vulnerable and open myself to you. I'm risking more type shit. Which honestly, a little backwards. Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about right now. So people see this closeness. People see this intimacy. They have this fear. Yeah. And they automatically assume the worst. Like, again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And rather than getting to know the other side of things and getting to know how these people, what this interaction is and what the context is and getting to know the person and what they're about, they're just like, well, I don't want you having male friends and I don't trust dudes and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And it's, again, so limiting because what does platonic female interaction, like regardless of whether or not you're attracted to the other person, what does having a healthy platonic interaction do for you as an individual, especially as an individual in a relationship? Because when y'all are fighting, which you know you will, which we've said you should.
Right.
Do you want your man going to his homie bros that are going to confirm his most limiting negative ideation of whatever situation y'all are going through?
Yeah.
Do you want that?
Not
or
always.
Do you want him to talk about it to one of his girlfriends, girl space friends.
Yes, girl space friends. I will say I have appreciated Matt's girl space friends in certain moments.
You know? And they say things that you agree with and they're like on your side.
Yeah.
And he'll listen to them because it's not as polarized, it's not as crazy in those moments.
Yeah.
Because we're providing a male perspective, which I think is so necessary.
Yeah.
Female perspective from men is so necessary.
Totally.
Bro, touch grass.
Yeah.
Talk to women.
Right.
Understand that they're human beings. And then you will see that the things that your girl stresses out about is probably still crazy, but at least you can relate to it a little more, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be any less stressful. I'm not going to promise you that.
Yeah. No,
But
of course.
you'll be able to see it with a little more grace and perspective.
Sure, totally.
Imagine you have 4 people fighting in your corner when y'all are just, you can't see eye to eye. Then he comes back and he's like, you know, Susan B. Anthony, I don't know why I picked that name specifically. I literally do not know. I literally do not know why.
I'm pretty sure that's a historic figure,
It is.
right?
She's the one who did women's suffrage. But
sure.
you know what? That's where my brain went, and I'm sticking to it.
You know what? Yeah, women's suffrage.
Women's suffrage. Oh, man. Susan B. Anthony said XYZ, and I see where you were coming from. I'm sorry, babe. XY. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
No, totally.
Easy, easy, easy.
Yeah. And I think too, like, as you were saying, like, I mean, you've touched on like the patriarchal system we live in, men like not understanding women, go touch some grass. We have the incel problem, all these things. A lot of
Don't
like,
even get me started on
I
the
know,
freaking incel
right?
problem.
Not the incel
Christ.
problem, but there is something to be said of like, I mean, this not being the a one and only solution to like a lot of the issues that we see between men and women in our society, but it definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, and certainly does help quite a bit to like allow and cultivate a society where men and women can and should be friends, right? Should cultivate a platonic interaction. Be much better for women. We women love to be seen as humans,
Right.
you know, and we definitely need to be. There's certain problems that we experience that are because we live in a society where the patriarchy says we are not seen as women, are humans. So yeah, there's many benefits to it. And like, I don't know, the arguments that I see with people, and honestly, it's mainly men that I see. I personally don't see a lot of women saying this, but it's not that women aren't saying it. I'm just not seeing it. They just seem like, it's like, wow, you really just can't like you really think with your dick that much. You know what I mean? Like,
Apparently they do.
Right.
But I resist that as a narrative.
You exist in your you exist. I don't know. It's so weird to me. Like, you exist as like such a sexual being, so hardcore. You identify so hardcore with like being a sexual person that you can't like see a woman as anything but like a potential mating partner.
And maybe too, like, I'm gonna get off my high horse for a second because maybe the reason why I've felt very comfortable cultivating platonic interactions with women is because I know that I don't need to be an opportunist in every possible interaction I have with a girl.
Yeah.
Like, I can keep y'all as friends because I can easily find another mating partner.
Totally.
For people who don't feel like that, maybe that's not how they go about it. I'll acknowledge that as a possibility.
Yeah.
That being said, we are all adults here.
Right.
In the same way that I think it's stupid to think that your partner won't be attracted to people, I also think it's completely reasonable to want and demand and enforce that people have self-control.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend that, or I said differently, I think it's stupid to try and pretend that you're not a girl and I'm not a dude. Right?
No, 100%.
Very dumb. And sure, you can avoid these type of interactions for the potential of something happening.
Yeah.
But in that, the fact that something can happen gives you the opportunity as a mature adult individual to set the proper boundaries and checks and balances to make sure that shit doesn't happen.
Right.
You guys are friends. That should make it 1,000 times easier to communicate about these things in an effective manner.
100%.
That's what we fucking do
Yes.
all the time.
Literally.
Freaking There have been times you come to me, it's like, that made me feel uncomfortable, blah, blah, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, for sure, not my intention. I contextualize it, I explain it. You're like, okay, that makes sense, but maybe we should do things like this instead. And it's like, for sure, because that's how that shit should work.
Right. 100%.
And if you're aware of the situation and you're not pretending that it's a thing, you're not wanting it to be anything else, then
you're
you shouldn't
ignoring it, or
you shouldn't be stressed out about like acknowledging the limitations of that. And working in a way that ensures that potentialities don't become eventualities.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
I like the way
you're
I said
speaking
that.
such facts right now. Oh my God, you're saying it so well.
I'm saying.
Yes.
And that's like, I spent 3 weeks filtering why our interaction works.
Yeah.
And why like it doesn't work for other people.
Right.
And the context that you were saying makes sense, right? That's how it started. If we met in a different context, the way it was back then, it wouldn't have been a thing.
No, we would not have
It
been friends.
wouldn't have been a thing. Honestly, you shouldn't have been friends with me if we met.
I should have been friends with you then.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Because that's true too.
not because you were trying to like get at me at all, but just you, the way that you were existing as a human.
I was very destructive.
You were just
it's funny because I was not self-destructive. I was just.
You were just, you were chaotic a little bit. Yeah, you were very chaotic.
My chaotic is very controlled.
Yeah.
Controlled. Very, very cool. Back to the emotional thing and why a lot of these friendships don't work.
Yeah.
Specifically on the emotionality.
Yeah.
Right? Emotional intimacy is very hard to handle for both men and women, for men and women.
Yeah.
You know? If you have emotional intimacy, that's within the context and the goal of monogamy. So if you cultivate really good emotional intimacy with a person that you're platonically with, it's really hard to it's very hard to think about these things outside of the context of monogamy. And maybe that's a disservice that this ideation, this romantic significance that we place on human interaction has done for us. Because it makes it so hard to cultivate platonic interactions without needing or without feeling the pressure of the romantic space. Right? It's really hard to do both. You seem like you want to say something about that.
I'm sorry. I'm literally just like, that is so, like, it's obvious. It's an obvious statement to make, but like, it's very true. Like this conversation, the reason why this conversation around opposite sex friends and all this sort of stuff exists is like monogamy really informs and our like, need as a society to put monogamy on like this pedestal. It's the end all be all goal.
Right.
It informs entirely this conversation. It's the reason why we have this conversation. That's I
love romance. Right. I think long-term committed partnerships are so significant. Yeah. It's hard for me to make them more important than friendships because friendships to me are so invaluable. Not necessarily talked enough. But not to get too sidetracked. Yeah. This emotionality, right? If it's there, people don't do themselves a favor. People don't do themselves a favor because within this context, this overarching like grip that monogamy has on Western society. Totally. People are over here pushing the boundaries of what especially I'm not blaming women when I say this, but women definitely take advantage of male friendships in a way that emotional support, crying on the shoulder type things, not in a necessarily aggressive way. I think mostly it's because women need more emotional support. Yeah. I think it's just a byproduct of that. Yeah. But it starts to blur the lines between what is a thing that I'm doing as your homie and what am I doing as a person that seems like this is a more romantic iteration of this type of support.
Well, what are you talking about within that? Because I think, and I've found I've agreed with these videos. I've seen videos where women in particular, talk about that sort of thing. And it's more so flipped on its head of that, like, men cannot handle the, like, women, like the argument that women have deeper, more intimate friendships than men. I don't necessarily agree with that, but going based off of that, there is like this level of emotional intimacy and interaction that female friends have that sometimes I think that women will then maybe is a mistake, is apply that to their male friends, and they treat their male friends in that way. And so then the argument is that men cannot distinguish between like that level of emotional intimacy. Women are just being good friends and are also are opening up emotionally, are doing these things. And it is emotionally intimate, but men cannot necessarily handle that, like, or cannot discern between that being a platonic thing and a romantic thing. So they assume it's entirely romantic. Right.
And to that immediately, again, I want to be careful about the way we frame the male interaction in all of this, because even the language that's often used, not just what you just said, but just in general, like men can't discern the difference. Men can't tell the difference. You're pulling a lot of responsibility away from the man to understand and guide and be involved in this interaction.
Yeah.
Adult human beings, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you are aware and you know.
Yeah.
You know the limits. Easy. Yeah. I'm gonna go into a specific example in a second. Okay. But the easiest way to frame it in your brain is people do this all the time with opposite sex friends. And you're gonna be doing and asking and requiring all these things from your male counterpart that immediately stop. You immediately stop needing and requiring the moment you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Why? Because you know on some level that that's some stuff that exists more in the boyfriend zone than in the friendship platonic zone. Yeah. And I would argue that a lot of men can tell the difference. It's not a matter of men not being able to necessarily discern or handle that emotional support that's needed. It's the way that men comfort women versus the way women comfort women. Because a lot of the times it's conversation for women, right? It's conversation, support, being there, being present. Yeah. But for men, it's usually through activity. I'm going to take you to get ice cream to make you feel better. I'm going to bring you ice cream to make you feel better. There's usually some financial compensation involved in the sense of they're either taking you somewhere, doing something for you, bringing you a thing. Yeah. And it becomes, and maybe you can attest to this, not necessarily that you do this, but just a thing that you can relate to. Okay. In the sense that women really enjoy having that type of male attention. Yeah. Yeah, and I can see that. Yeah. If the implications aren't romantic, it's a lot more of a safe space to be, and you still get that same male attention, the same male validation that you would get if you're in a relationship without all the extra shit that comes with relationships. Yeah. So you'll definitely push the limits of what that is up into, and if that is crossing the line, but all within that is still choices, little decisions that people are making. Yeah. Right? Just like, oh, well, I'm cold. I don't want to be alone. Let me call homeboy. You're not calling homegirl for that. Yeah. It's 8:00 at night. The sun has set. Yeah. Why are you calling homeboy over if you guys are friends? You know? It's like those tiny little things that become all of a sudden. It's not like, oh, we've been friends this whole time, nothing's happened, all of a sudden, he has feelings for me and I don't know what happened. I was just being nice to him, blah, 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 this and the other. I can't believe that man can't handle this emotional intimacy. Like, no, there's these little things you've been doing all up until this happened. Yeah. I definitely think both are true. I think I've seen both happen and both have existed, where there is, because I agree, straight women are notorious, and they don't just do this to men, they do this to gay women. And where they are notorious for kind of that leading on almost sort of thing, like kind of
towing that line, that blurring that line between like platonic and like romantic. And it kind of, being like, would you be doing, or would this be appropriate if you were in a relationship? Are you kind of using me as this placeholder?
Right.
You're kind of messing with my feelings, so to speak, that kind of idea. That definitely does happen. I 100% agree. I think there also is a situation, like, because I've seen those situations, even actually recently, I have someone talking to me about a situation where completely platonic situation and the person has developed feelings they cannot get over and is kind of blaming this girl for their feelings and for their feelings being hurt, and that just not being a situation, like that just not being the reality of the situation, right?
It's like, bro, you're in your feelings.
Right.
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right, exactly. No, for real. Like, you were always a friend and you have taken it to this place. I've never treated you a certain type of way. That I feel like is also like I think just both experiences. For sure.
Which is why I said the way to qualify that. Immediately you'll get your answer.
Yeah.
Have you been doing things that you never would do if you were in a relationship?
Well, as I'm saying, with this other situation, these female friends of those male friends are saying, yes, I'm acting as I would if I was in a relationship. I'm treating you as a friend, but you are taking these things and really taking them as if I am treating you.
Then that's on the dude,
especially.
100%.
Right.
That's on the dude 100%. Vice versa, it's on the girl 100%.
Totally.
And, I'm not here to qualify people's relationships. I'm just saying that these things occur.
Yeah.
And people do not do themselves any favors by like having this pressure, this romantic pressure already on the interaction regardless. And if not, oh man, it's so annoying to me, especially you guilty of this for me specifically.
Yeah.
Just always qualifying the people you're interacting with, like, why aren't you guys dating? Why aren't you guys in a relationship? This, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, maybe it's not that. Maybe I'm taking my time. Maybe I'm just living my freaking life, bitch. The fuck? Anyways, neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. But that external, like if you're a dude, me, attractive dude, hanging out with a girl in any capacity, that's the immediate implication.
Totally.
Like, why aren't you dating her? You guys spend so much time together. Like, why do I automatically have to date her?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like spending time with her. Maybe it's that simple.
Totally.
But to most people, optics so important.
Yeah.
Another pressure. So you have external pressure, you have internal pressure, you have the implicit implication of potentiality.
Yeah.
And then you blur the lines and play at romance because it's convenient.
Yeah.
For you.
It's a Russian roulette.
Yeah, man. You're
making it worse for yourself.
And then it's just like so crazy that like, oh, Jesus Christ, this man has feelings for me now.
Yeah.
What do I do with that? Oops. Like, what do I do with that? Well, you could have not done what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Low-key. I know it sounds like I'm blaming women. I'm talking from a male's perspective because this is the situation that happens to me.
Totally. I know, and
often.
I think that's definitely fair. It's definitely happened. It's definitely a thing.
And then moving like context, right? Context. We understand what these things are, y'all. We're not confused, like we said. Your little friends are not your little friends.
Right. The friends to lovers trope. It's real.
It is real, but it's not happening to you.
No.
It's not happening to you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Also that.
It's not freaking happening to you. And you just have to get over that.
Yeah.
You just have to get over that. But I don't think that if your partner, if you're in a relationship, wants to cultivate a friendship with another person of the opposite sex, it should be intrinsically a problem.
Yeah.
Regardless of when and why it's happening. Like, take everything I said about context and throw it out the window.
Right.
Because I think these friendships should be happening. And then this was a question I have. I'm going to ask in a second, but I'm just generally curious about this. But before I say that, I think it's very important for the individual to be honest and qualify for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you have a partner that's pursuing an interaction with the opposite sex, qualify with them as is your right as their partner.
Totally.
Straight up be like, why do you want to pursue this interaction?
Yeah.
And I think maybe this next part is more significant for single people that are cultivating interactions with friends. It's like, are you placing yourself in this friendship because you're waiting for an opportunity, a chance to pursue something beyond friendship with this person?
Totally.
It might not be as aggressive, like, I just want to fuck her. It might be like, this girl is very interesting. I want to pursue some romantic iteration.
Totally.
And that's the flaw. That's the nice guy situation. Because you think you're just like, I'm just trying to be a good person. I'm going to be her friend. But like secretly you're hoping for the opportunity to be more than friends, whatever that looks like for you. Really qualify and ask yourself that. And then know for yourself if that's a thing that's worth doing.
Right.
Because that's... You're building your house on a bed of lies.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not friendships.
Right.
Friendships, while there can be tension and what's the word? There can be attraction. It's not sexual.
Yeah.
It's not inherently romantic. And that to me and that for we has been something that we've maintained with impunity.
Yes.
I don't know how intentional that was.
For us?
Yeah, I just...
Honestly, I don't think it was, at least for me. Like, and just in the sense of like, did I know what I was doing?
Right.
To like cultivate like the friendship that we have been able to cultivate? Not like necessarily.
And it wasn't necessarily a thing that I actively did. But again... touch grass, talk to more girls.
Right.
The more you interact and you care about a person, you care about your interaction you have with said person.
Right.
And me, I'm a smart cookie.
Yeah.
I understand human interactions. There are situations that you will never find ourselves in.
Yeah. 100%.
There's just situations and there's situations that people often find themselves in with their friends.
Yeah.
And you're like, as a dude who's cultivated so many platonic interactions with women, why the fuck are you in this situation?
Why? No, your little friend.
Absolutely no reason for you to be in this situation.
People are wild.
Oh my goodness. Y'all wanted this to happen.
No, for real. You were literally tempting yourself.
And I don't play with fire.
No.
Because I don't like getting burned. And like I said, if you're aware of the potentialities, you can avoid the eventualities. And I'm not gonna play those games. I'm not gonna like, no, that's not what this is. Like, okay, let's keep it what it's not.
Right. Let's keep
it easy. What are you talking about? We're not gonna use that. We're not gonna use that as validation of why we can do some crazy shit. No, we're gonna use that as confirmation as why we should keep not doing said crazy shit.
And also to that point, it's easy for us to keep it like that.
Exactly.
I think for
what
people.
Do you mean by that?
Well, okay.
what do you mean by that?
I think if there's.
What do you mean by that?
I think if there's like if two friends are making this active effort to keep these boundaries, to not tempt one another, because we are friends and we are man
have to
and
be
woman,
friends,
and we cannot have any
happen.
sexual tension and blah blah blah. Like the active efforts, like y'all are really
just
not
fuck.
friends. Thank you. Just at that,
like, bro,
that point,
what y'all doing?
At that point, like,
just fucking stop, please.
Right.
For everybody, for you, for y'all, for yourself,
for torturing yourself,
for the God, please.
Oh my God,
please just stop for everybody. Goddamn.
And so that's what I mean. Like the boundaries that we set or the way that we operate is not something that takes so much effort. And back to the thing of like, did we have to think about cultivating in this way? No.
Actively resisting crossing boundaries? No. I don't even think about it.
That was a homie. You were the homie.
That's the homie though.
Right.
That's the homie though. And you don't have to think about it. And then to that, so this is where the awareness comes in.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware of the interaction, I'm aware of the potentiality, but then I'm also aware when I'm met with a context that doesn't align with where I'm trying to take the interaction.
Totally.
Right? So it's like, I'm not actively thinking about it, blah, 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 blah. But then we're in the situation. I'm just like, oh, well, this is not a situation I need to be in with Renee specifically.
Yes.
And then I don't put myself in that situation.
Right.
You know, easy.
Right.
Easy. And you can like adjust accordingly because I don't see it's so I can't universalize it, generalize it, because I don't know if that's an active thing that I was doing. But it's just a thing that happened and over time, the practice became
what
a
it
feature.
was. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The function became a feature. So yeah, if there's any iteration of any semblance even of a romantic progression, then be a man, for lack of a better word, and suck it up and confess and pursue them romantically.
Right.
That's a better way to go about that.
Totally.
Right. But now, if you meet this person and maybe you find them attractive, honestly, you're going to find them attractive because most people don't interact with strangers that they don't find attractive. That's just human nature. I'm not talking to some ugly ass motherfucker. Sorry, bro. If you're ugly, you can't be friends with me. That is what it is. I'm not ever going to be.
And that is a genderless statement, man or woman.
I'm serious because that first scenario, that's why it was so funny to me. Because I would never be in that situation. No. Oh, you're so ugly. You can be my friend. Ew. What? That's crazy. That's insane to me. That's so crazy.
Oh my God.
There's some level of like, you like the way this person looks, and then you talk to them and you're enamored by the way that this person exists. You guys have a lot of mutuality. There's a lot of similar interests.
Yes.
Maybe you guys both snowboard and you guys are like, oh, we should go snowboarding one time. And it's not like inherently romantic. It could be, but that's not why you're interacting with this person.
Right.
I say cultivate that interaction. See how these people tick. Interact with these people so we can have more conversations, so we can understand how the opposite side lives.
Yeah.
You know, because then we won't have all these polarizing things about man and women and blah, 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 blah. You see, like if every incel had a female friend, do you think that they would be as... See my mischievousness. I'm so bad. Because like if every incel had a female friend, do you not think that they would be trying to fuck them? Like, oh my God. Absolutely. That's exactly what
that's why they're incels.
Exactly. We're on the same page.
But like, do you not think that the narrative would be different on the internet specifically?
Sure, yeah.
Because like, people type what they think that they don't say to other people. If you're saying what you're typing to a girl that cares about you and that you care about, you're not going to say that. So you're not going to type that online. You're not going to put that into the universe.
Right.
And you probably won't even be motivated to think said thing.
Or you would say it and there would be a conversation there that would maybe then change your mind to not think.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
There's something there that isn't necessarily... There's something there that isn't necessarily romantic. And where there isn't romance, platonic situations can be cultivated. And you just have to be honest with yourself and be real with yourself and your partner. And like I said, if we make a safe space for people to be attracted to other people, even in relationships, then your partner is more likely and more willing to come to you with these things. And how much better to have that open line of communication. Like I can tell my partner this and they're not going to freak out.
Right.
Versus like, well, I like this girl. Can't tell her this because if I do tell her like about how pretty I think she is, then she's going to freak out and it's going to be this whole thing. Well, we're friends, babe. And now the cycle continues all over again. Y'all are doing yourselves a disservice. Y'all doing me specifically a disservice because I'm the only one that's be suffering about these things.
This is for
Jem boyfriends
Jem
hate
only.
me because of y'all.
Oh my God.
I am literally their friend, and here we are. Because y'all don't know how to cultivate platonic interactions.
I was going to say, it's in those situations, I would say half the time it's those girls' faults because Matt doesn't hate you.
Good.
And there's a reason for that.
Good. And he shouldn't. He has no reason.
There's no
Matt.
reason.
I like Matt. Please, Matt, don't hate me.
No, he doesn't. That's what I'm saying is these other situations where these boyfriends are mad at you. It's like, it's the job of that person who's the friend and the girlfriend or boyfriend to make sure that everyone is
right.
You know,
let begin. And then too, like one of the first things you did was introduce us.
Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing to hide. There's no crazy suspicious shit.
Totally.
Over the table type bullshit. But at the same time, you know what those interactions with those other women are, which is why their boyfriends are stressed out.
Yeah.
Which is, a conversation for another time. My question.
Yes. Oh, we got to the question. I forgot about that.
What is more important in your opinion?
Okay.
No wrong answer. I'm not coming here with a preconceived notion.
Okay.
Right? I don't have an agenda for once. I know,
Oh,
crazy,
wow.
right? Yeah, exactly. What's more important, behavior or intent?
I'm laughing because actually that dating card game that you gave Matt and I to use to play, I think there was one question where it asked a similar question.
Interesting.
And in this context, did that. I think my initial gut response is intention. But, you know, I laugh though because I forget the way that the question was phrased. But this question of this card game, this dating card game that Matt and I had played, I had said actions and behavior, and Matt had said intention.
Matt is very like a huge proponent of intent.
Oh, toast, my goats.
Which,
He is.
you know, again,
and 100% because. But I remember like my argument for like behavior was that like you can intend all you want, but like your behavior can still hurt me. The way that your actions, the way you move can still hurt me and be like inconsiderate. You can be take your good intentions, but where do they lead you? Right. So like I kind of, but like in this moment right here, like in this conversation, my gut instinct is to say intention. So I'm having a hard time with like actually answering your question.
Yeah, no,
it depends for me, I think.
It's something that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm thinking about because at the end of the day, you can't control a person's intention.
Yeah.
But the thing that people fear is the action.
Right.
So if it's never acted upon, doesn't matter what you intend.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then the other people that I was saying this to, they're like, oh, well, just think about how you will feel if you were the boyfriend in these situations. And like, I didn't want to like throw it back in their face because like when I'm having a serious conversation with a person, I try to be as agreeable as possible, reasonable to a fault. But my knee-jerk reaction was like, honestly, I wouldn't care. Like I would never be the boyfriend in these situations because that's jealousy in my brain and my mind and my heart is not developed in the same way.
Yeah.
So consistency. I am the type of person that would rather cultivate a open interaction, open environment, and understand the people that my person's talking to, pursuing interactions with, and then qualifying what those are with them and seeing together if those are people that will hurt or help our relationship.
Totally.
I won't get jealous because you're talking to a person. And maybe that's like the career path that I chose. Like you can't be jealous of all these things, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you'll go crazy.
Yeah. Totally.
So I'm like, I don't think I would care so much. And especially if like I want the type of girl that I want. Right? They say you have to pay for attractiveness. If you want to date attractive, this is the price you pay.
Sure.
And the price you pay for dating someone that's really attractive is that a lot of people want to be with her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and even waste my time trying to qualify what all those interactions are and why they are like that.
You're going to go crazy. Yeah.
It's a waste of time. There's too many. So how much more important is it to have that interaction with my partner? Because again, monogamy is not the only one you can choose. It's the one you chose out of all your options.
Yeah.
And that is much more like, I don't care about anything else. You chose me. If you care about me and that's important to you.
So do you not care necessarily about like if like your potential future girlfriend, wife, partner is like keeping these friendships around of like people who would potentially be like wanting her, who are pining after her in some way? Like,
so intent and behavior, right? If nothing has happened between them, intent doesn't necessarily matter to me.
Okay.
I would start then by qualifying, what are you doing with these people, right? The argument I had with this girl is that I shouldn't be going on solo trips with women in relationships. And I'm like, I see why you say that. Yeah. I'm not going to immediately be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I would like tend to agree.
You know?
Right.
But it's like, for me specifically, when I have to qualify my own life based on my things, like the action sure might raise questions, but the behavior is very much above board. I know for myself that even in those situations, I'm not going to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
So all your fears that you're fearing is in your head. I'm not going to do that shit.
Yeah.
Because they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
So why should I have to rob myself of interaction with people? Like maybe my partner doesn't want to go to Timbuktu and I have homegirls that want to go to Timbuktu with me. Should I rob myself of being able to go to Timbuktu just because my partner doesn't want to go to Timbuktu when I have people to go to Timbuktu with me? Honestly, you can have more people. It doesn't have to be a solo thing. But what if that's the only option?
I don't know.
Should that matter? Should we limit ourselves so much for the fear of some crazy thing when, again, boundaries, maturity, human interaction, the responsibility you have to your partner, these are all things that we as people, we as individuals are able to do.
Totally.
So now we have to pacify ourselves and don't put ourselves in potentially compromising situations. Honestly, yes, don't put yourselves in potentially compromising situations.
Yeah.
But also have the self-control to, if you are, because life is life and human beings are human beings, if you are in a potentially compromising situation, leave that at the potential. It doesn't have to be compromising.
I was going to say.
Because potentially compromising optics are what optics are.
Right.
Your behavior, your integrity, your responsibility, your commitment is, in my brain, to me, my commitment, my integrity, my sense of self, the way I want to operate in the world is far more important than any context I could be in.
Yeah.
So if I'm in a context where I've compromised myself, I wanted to do that shit.
Fair.
I wanted to do that shit.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a context where I don't, I didn't want to do that. And that's 100%. I accept full agency and full responsibility for all that situation.
Yeah.
They're like, agency goes away the moment your dick is hard. I'm like, I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I agree with your disagreement.
So I think, and this is going to be my hot take, and we can wrap it up because I've said all I needed to say. I think that a lot of the narrative that you hear online about men and women can't be friends, outside of the cultural, societal implications, is a byproduct of unspoken fears that people project onto other people.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're not the self-controlled type. Maybe you will act on every possible opportunity.
Sure.
So you assume that everybody else would act on every possible opportunity.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. I don't think you're a bad person if you act on said opportunities.
Yeah.
I just don't accept that for myself. And I challenge everyone to have the integrity and the responsibility not to be swayed by your genitalia.
Yes.
For lack of a better phrase, like
Totally.
we are conscious beings. We have evolved past the need to subsist on that very base level.
Yeah.
Can be in a room with the most attractive people trying to fuck me. Trying to. NFL cheerleaders.
Right.
And if I'm in a relationship, it's like, no.
Yeah. Simple as that.
And that's that's on that. That's on that. I don't think we should limit ourselves because any situation can be any situation if you allow it to be any situation.
Yeah.
So if we want these things to improve and we want people to touch grass and interact with each other and cultivate a more connective society, then the fear of a potential situation happening with two people that can be attracted to each other, if we let that stop us from cultivating those interactions, how are we ever going to evolve to where we need to be as a society?
Yeah,
personally, I think it's not going to happen because we're going to have these type of interactions, right? Me and you, a drop in the bucket of all things. And I didn't need this. This interaction is a byproduct of my already healthy interaction with platonic interactions with women.
Yeah.
I didn't need this interaction to show me how to interact with women.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of men that don't have any platonic interaction with women,
Yeah.
and they need things as simple and as easy as this.
As this.
Everything can be this.
Yes.
But we don't even give it the opportunity to.
Right.
One, because we are over here pretending that things are what they aren't, and then not even giving us the opportunity to try and cultivate a interaction. It's crazy.
I definitely hear you. Yeah, I think it's definitely harder to do. Like the context becomes harder to cultivate when you're in a relationship. Out of just like it can feel that way. Given like things that can't, like optics of things, context of things, wanting to respect your partner in that.
Right. Which isn't to say, like, I'm not saying that, like, oh, you want to hang out with a person, nothing's going to happen. You have self-control. I just met this person. I'm going to go hang out with them out of nowhere.
You also don't know, like, the other person's, like, I've found myself in situations, not while in my relationship, but, like, I guess that one customer who tried to ask me out.
Talking, chatting up this entire time, bro. What were you doing?
I was, honestly, it's so hard as, like, an in-person customer service where you're just, like, you're being friendly. You're being friendly because you're at your job and like you think it's a cool. Anyways, we're not going to get into that. But I have found myself as like a woman in situations as a woman in situations where it's like you think it's one thing, right? And then it becomes another. And it's like it can be like a disappointing. I'm sure there may be that on the opposite end as well, where you want to cultivate like a friendship with these people, but
they're just not trying to do that.
That's not what they're trying to do.
Right.
And that can
and
be,
I do think like
and then add being in a relationship with that, you're just not going to even tempt that. You're not going to even put yourself exactly.
To which I say most of the things I'm talking from a very male centric perspective.
Totally, yeah.
Like women, do not put yourself in potentially compromising situation.
No.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's actually insane.
Yeah.
For the reasons that they are.
Right.
I'm challenging my male counterparts to expand their proclivities.
And I'm glad you are.
Yes. But as far as women are concerned, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Right.
Y'all are good.
Yeah.
Except for calling friends what they're not. Don't stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop doing
that.
That's tough.
That's not your friend.
Yeah, that's not your little friend. And we all know
as my mom once said, as my mama.
That's my mama once said. I ain't one of your little high school friends. That's crazy how we have that shared experience.
No, literally.
My mom is from the Caribbean. Why would she say that to me?
Why is she also saying that?
That's so crazy.
Oh
Blackness is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my little take on that.
I
think men and women should be friends. I am aware of how hard it is to cultivate that, and how a lot of times, because we have these excuses and this lack of accountability for the men's side of things, we got away with not having to think about it.
I love your little bait and switch in this entire conversation, because how you started it was your hook was, men and women cannot be friends.
Can't. But we should.
As we sit here, two friends of the opposite sex. And then we have this conversation, and the ending is you don't actually necessarily believe that. But there's all these... I enjoyed the bait and switch. I enjoyed that very much.
There you go. Like I said, 3 weeks preparing this conversation.
You really thought about that.
It's good.
Yes.
Like I said, I value our friendship.
Yes, me too.
I think it's so... Without you as a friend in my life, my life would be crazy.
Oh, there's you are a very valuable friend to me.
Right.
Your advice and your has been quite integral to me developing as a human.
Right, that part. But also it's so funny because there's very specific reasons why I would never date Renee.
Yeah.
And every time she's in a relationship, I see that shit every time. Like, good God, wonderful friend. Love her to death. Love her to death. Would never date her. And ew, that's why. Oh God. Ew, that's why. Yeah. Oh, poor boy. Poor fucking boy. Just watching them suffer through it. They love that shit. They eat it up. I'm just like, for sure. That's all you. That's all you. That's why you're dating her.
Me.
Suffer, I guess.
Oh my god, that's
Crazy
hilarious to
shit.
me.
No, I think about that shit.
I love that so
often.
much.
I used to think
It's like,
about that shit
it's just because
often.
I'm me.
Yeah. Yikes. Well, you definitely were chose.
Yeah.
Think about that. All that bullshit, you were chose for real.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time.
I was chosen.
Wee. But again, that's that on that. Stop hanging out with those little friends.
Yeah.
Those aren't your friends.
Y'all heard what we said.
Y'all heard what we
meant
said.
it.
We said it like 5 times.
Right.
Those aren't your little friends. And
They-
you know who we're talking. We're talking to you.
Yes.
And you know who you are. Stop being. You know. You know. I know you know. But that being said, I really, again, I'm not angry. I'm trying not to be mad.
Right.
The reason why I'm coming off so strong, I had these conversations this week with people about me and my actions.
Yeah.
And I really had to defend myself. And I really was fighting for my life. Winning,
Yes.
mind you.
Of course.
Of course. But I felt like I was fighting for my life. And then I had
Yes.
to realize, why the fuck am I defending myself? That shit's crazy. Like, y'all know who I am? Come on now. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me. Why am I, to you specifically, why am I defending myself to you specifically? So if I felt a little heated, that's why. But I really hope you could take something from that. I like this
Yes.
conversation. I think it was good.
I had a fun time for sure.
I thought it was really
It was
good.
much better. We previously tried to record a friendship episode that did not go well,
Right.
and this went
Right.
a lot better. We did not release that episode, obviously.
Right.
Yes, very
Maybe
happy
one
with this.
day we'll go back to the
To
things we don't
release that dumpster fire.
Yikes. To her,
It was,
I didn't think it was
I'm
that
being
bad.
very dramatic for sure.
It wasn't that bad. But yeah,
Oh my
no.
gosh.
So
Yeah, but
let us know what
anyways.
you thought about that episode. And if you are interested in cultivating friendships with the opposite sex currently or not currently, are you in a relationship? How's that going for you? Are you open as a partner to another person to have a conversation about your attractions to other people? And do you think that you can create a space in which that's possible to have?
In a less aggressive manner, I'm curious what people's barriers are to cultivating friendships with the opposite sex. What do you find to be the barriers for yourself in your life to cultivating those friendships?
Also a good question.
Yes. But that being said as well, like and follow our social media pages. You know what it is. The Instagram, the TikTok being the main ones. Please follow us and like our stuff there. That's where we're most active.
Right. For now.
Yes. And then, of course, YouTube's on the come up because we have been posting those
Yeah,
videos.
we're getting those, man. When you
Do you guys
update
see
your
those
thumbnails.
Jem is working so
Oh,
hard on those
man.
thumbnails.
When you get your thumbnails right, the views start pouring in.
Exactly.
So we're good, man. I'm excited.
Yes.
We're about to be the biggest thing on TikTok in
1000%.
a second. Bobby who?
Right.
Bobby who?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Hey, if you want to be on
There's
this podcast,
something to-
Bobby,
Right.
hit us up. You know what it is.
Hey,
Before
we'll
it's
have
too
you
late.
on.
Before it's
Yeah.
too late.
The arrogance.
Right. Yeah, you gotta put the energy you want to see in the world, you know?
100%.
The law
we're
of
the next hot
reflection.
thing. We're the next hot thing.
Literally.
1000%.
But at the end of the day, I'm Jem,
And I'm Renee.
and we're the intellectuals
Yes,
signing
we are.
off. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.